Good afternoon to everyone, to all our viewers coming live today from Quezon City, from Subic, from Porac, from Baguio City. We welcome you to our webinar for today. The car, Zambales, Pampanga Tourism, moving forward to the next normal. Thank you very much for choosing to spend your afternoon with us. Um, this is a continuation of the series of destination webinars that we have been doing as we want to check with our various colleagues from around the country as to what they're doing with us and how they plan to get back in gear as soon as tourism gets back, as soon as we're allowed to travel once again. So, this afternoon, it's very refreshing as we have three wonderful ladies who will be with us this afternoon. And I am the thorn among the roses. Before we go to them, I'd also like to. I see that we have a lot of our friends who are also watching us right now. So, good afternoon to all. Uh, Now, let me go into introducing our speakers for this afternoon. We'd like to start off with Miss Jovi Ganongan, who is the OIC Regional Director for the Department of Tourism for the Cordillera Administrative Region. Good afternoon, Jovi.
Hi, good afternoon, Sir Jojo.
Mhm. And then we also have Miss Mary Jamel A. Kamba or Jem, the manager of Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority Tourism, SBMA Tourism.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone.
Yeah. And finally, the last but not the least, we have Miss Christina B. Garcia, who is the president of the Alliance of Travel and Tour Agencies of Pampanga or ATAP. So, good afternoon, ladies, and I hope you're ready for an afternoon of questions, reporting, and keeping all of us informed of what's going on in your places right now. Okay. As we discussed, we will have all the presentations first, and then I will have some questions for you at the end of your presentation, at the end of everyone's presentations, and then we will also get some questions from the audience, some pressing questions that they may have, and hopefully we can all have the answers for that. So, without further ado, I would like to begin with Ms. Jovi Ganongan with your presentation with regard to the Cordillera Autonomous Region.
Cordillera Administrative Region.
Sorry,
Anyway,
sorry.
yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting us and making us part of this dialogue. And congratulations to the Tourism Congress of the Philippines for providing this platform. No? So let me go direct to sharing with you our experience in the Cordillera in as far as navigating through this COVID-19. No? Just to briefly mention, of course, as you know, the Cordillera region is a primary tourism destination in the country. No, we are home to the summer capital of the Philippines, Baguio City, also a UNESCO creative city. And of course, you know the rice terraces of Ifugao. These are UNESCO heritage sites, and so many other interesting places in the Cordillera, in Apayao, in Kalinga, in Abra, Benguet, Ifugao Mountain Province. So basically our nature and culture destination, and so we are also a region of festivals. So you can just imagine the impact on the regulation or uh, the crowd drawing events restriction. No? So it has really impacted the tourism in general. At the start of the year, we have planned activities like Panagbenga in February. We were even supposed to conduct the year two of our Mangantaku. That's the local version of the Kain na, no, and also relaunch our brand, which is find yourself in the Cordillera. So we had so many plans, no, in the region as a whole, and then suddenly the pandemic came. So first and foremost, our immediate response is really to undertake the taking care of our stranded tourists. Now, as a government agency, we have to also take on that responsibility. So, and the more challenging part, actually, I'd like to mention this because it would seem to be used in the future response plans. it was difficult to locate all of these stranded tourists because they were not staying in commercial establishments. They were staying in private homes. They were staying in condominium units and all alternative. In Baguio, they call it transient homes. So it was later on we found out that we have so many. We were surprised, no, to think that as early as January and February, all tourism activities were already suspended in Cordillera because the local government units were really quick to issue executive orders, even before the ECQ. So just to mention, we were contacted by about 200 foreign tourists. No, this include overseas residents, and we were working from home, and for the last more than 2 months, we had to facilitate online their travel requirements. We were arranging for transport, coordinating with the local government units for travel permits. Sometimes there would be misunderstanding in various cross-border checkpoints, no, but thankfully we were able to facilitate the exit of 132 foreign tourists. No, now they're back in their home countries. So we were also in coordination with foreign embassies, no, and in Baguio we assisted about four sweeper buses, no, that went around the region and then went to even the other regions and to Manila, and we also have domestic tourists. 181 in a record, but some are stranded students and some are displaced workers, and we 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 had to also extend some kind of a financial support to qualify, thanks to Tourism Promotions Board also for downloading some funds. So as you can see, this number is actually low as compared with other regions. Though they have thousands, and that is actually the advantage of a landlocked destination. Also, it was easy for them to exit the Cordillera. So the good thing about giving assistance to all these tourists is to us, it is actually also establishing a good network, goodwill with our foreign tourists, and this is something also needed for tourism in the future. But of course, more than anything else, it is the right thing to do. No? So okay, so let's now talk about the challenges in the Cordillera. No, actually, tourism as a whole. Can we go to the next slide? So, amidst this crisis, the Cordillera tourism industry has to face two major challenges. First is how to cope with the new normal, and what is even the new normal? No, is it being understood by everybody? So, and the second is how do we recover and bounce back? So the first one is very important because it's a prerequisite of the second. No, if we don't embrace the new normal, how can we go? How do we bounce back? No, and the new normal, we're talking of new normal. It's actually a big challenge to the industry generally because it would imply that there will be reduction really of non-essential travels, and travels for tourism purposes are generally regarded as non-essential. No, it's the last to open later on. So the new normal, therefore, in car, and I think it's the whole country, is one that would follow globally and locally recognized protocol, no, that are designed to put in place health and safety guidelines that will protect travelers wherever their journey takes them. So that's the most important thing. So let me just walk through so that it's simpler to understand some questions. Can we go to the next slide? uh, the new normal will have to be anchored on the following questions, no, looking at what are the standard protocols that tourism service providers in the Cordillera should follow. And we are happy to announce that the DOT has already drafted the standard protocols, no, and these are based on WHO recommendations and will have to be approved by uh, by DOH as well. No, so we have those for accommodation establishments, FNP, tour guides, tourist transport, and all soon will be finalized and rolled out. And I hope that this will all be implemented as well in the local governments. No, so. to oversee the implement, who will oversee the implementation? Of course, it's going to be the DOT, but at this time, uh, the collaboration with DILG and LGU must have to be really strengthened, no, because of the enforcement power of the LGUs. So, in the actual implementation, for instance, I guess DOH in all of this will be involved one way or the other because they are the experts in this. So, also looking at the investments needed, not uh, to put all of these protocols in place, like in the new normal regulation, you would be needing some technologies, no, like very simple is like a misting machine, for instance, no, and other technologies like electrostatic sprayers. These are found in the new standards set by the DOT now. So, so can our stakeholders be able to adhere to such protocols? And I would say the answer should be definitely yes. No, as I have mentioned, this will somehow show the readiness of the destination. So overall, the challenge really is we have to be ready and prepared, and we have to work on. And a great deal of cooperation is really very critical. So. The more challenging part is the bouncing back, and there are so many factors to be considered also here. So in the making or the formulation of strategies later on, this should be considered, like the current economic environment. No, we know that we are now looking forward or expecting an impending world recession, and of course. There would be rising unemployment, and there are so many jobs already at risk now. There would be businesses that will close. Hopefully, it will be controlled. And as you know, travel is very dependent on disposable income. No, so when they have no jobs and businesses are low, and there are no income, how can people travel? So that's something that we have to look into as well. And the uncertainty weighing on consumer and business confidence. So everybody is not actually sure at this time about the situation. So uh, and how long will this pandemic end? No, we are working at a pace that we cannot control. Much as we like to go ahead with all of this bouncing back, we are controlled by the developments. Like when is this over? When would be a report that there are no cases anymore? So we're not sure. Okay, so as a whole, next slide. As a whole, the region is preparing already the recovery and response plan through NEDA, and the database is now being consolidated in terms of income losses. No, we are now doing the survey. We are doing research and validation to provide needed reliable information. Also submitting recommendations in the long term. No, and just to for us to understand the losses, you can just look at the tourist arrivals data last year. So you can see on the screen, uh, the tourism starts to peak on a February. No, so this is when we celebrate the Panagbenga in Baguio and other activities like PMA graduation, alumni homecoming, and many others. So based on this, income losses is about 300 million, based on the tourist receipts, but does not also include the multiplier economic contributions of tourism in general in the region. So, also to consider would be uh, the unemployed now, no, in the industry. From the accommodation establishments, we see that we have more than 4,000. No, so all of this to be considered in the planning and the coming up of the strategies. So, in preparation for the new normal, as a government entity, we have already reprogrammed our meager budget to undertake the following, like shifting on online manpower development, just like what we're doing now. We're redesigning also our modules to suit the need of the times through webinars. No, the central office has already conducted so many, and we are rolling out also webinars in the region. So we want to take this opportunity now to create more contents, no, that we will use in the bouncing back phase, like for instance, where we're looking at your post-COVID bucket list, and emphasizing the need of the potential market. Like everybody would be looking for experiences that would somehow relieve them from the lockdown blues. No? So all of this, the mountain experience, wellness tourism, farm tourism would really be seriously would be very very strong post COVID. No, so we will undertake all of those. No, and specifically, as mentioned by our Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat, we will go. We will go for domestic tourism this time, so that's the way to go. So a lot of programs. Can we have the next slide? A lot of programs will be done this year. So I can discuss it in the question and answer later on. So we have shifted to social media. Uh, like on food and farm tourism promotion. We are also doing a film documentary right now. And for cultural tourism, we're trying to compile all of these festivals in the past that we can be able to use in upcoming programs, so that people will not forget that that is still our brand, no, a cultural destination, and that is something to look forward to when everything would be, when we see the light after the tunnel, so to speak. No? So all of this, even the support to our artists in the city of Baguio, not just Baguio, but all over the Cordilleras. We're working with local organizations to be able to also reach out by way of co-sponsoring, website development, and others. No, we are free actually to accept recommendations also from our partners, as we are also new to all of this. So, and then lastly, I'd like to mention, which is actually very important, is now is really the time to rethink the future of tourism, especially those areas that are weighed down on the over tourism. No? So, uh, planning the capacity limits of specific tourism sites, anchoring on the physical distancing regulations should be the priority agenda now. No? Uh, we are given this opportunity now to sit down and see that there will be no more crowd, because too much or too many people is actually not fun. So we'll have to emphasize now the quality of travel in the future of tourism, post COVID. So for now, that's my sharing. But in the Q&A, I can be able to answer specific questions. Thank you very much. Nakamute. Nakamute si Sir Jojo.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Jovino, uh, for that very comprehensive presentation. As we mentioned earlier, we will come back to you with some questions that we have a little bit later on. Now we would like to proceed to Ms. Jem Kamba of the SBMA Tourism group in SBMA. Jem, please take the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Jojo. Good afternoon to everyone. So, first of all, I would like to thank Tourism Congress of the Philippines for having us here. It is indeed an honor to be invited to be part of this webinar. Let's proceed with the first slide so that we can have a lot of time for the open forum later on. Okay, so first let's look at the past. What has been the experience and the performance of Subic Bay as a destination? So, as you all know, for the past almost 9, 10 years, we have been the number one destination in Central Luzon. We've also been honored to be the number four destination in the Philippines for 2015 and the number 10 destination in 2018. So, having said that, for the past 2 years, we've been focusing on another type of market, which is the cruise ship market. And we've been working on that since 2016. We've been joining our different cruise ship conferences abroad, marketing ourselves. And we were really happy that in 2018, we had 19 cruise ship arrivals, and in last year we got 18 cruise ship arrivals with such a big impact on the industry and the tourism sector of Subic Bay Freeport. Aside from all of those, we have also been established as a sports tourism destination in the Philippines and in Asia. We've already won the sports tourism destination from the Philippine Sports Tourism Awards and also from the SPIA Awards, beating the other destinations. So I'm sure all of you know that last year we hosted the Southeast Asian Games. So because of that, if you can look at our figures, um, from 2016 onwards, everything was going up. And then in 2019, we had a drop in our tourist arrivals to 1 million. This is because we had to close down all of our facilities. We had to close down our sports facilities. We had to down our convention center to be able to make some improvements and renovations to these facilities for the Southeast Asian Games. We also had to stop accepting a lot of road events because we had to prepare all our roads for the Southeast Asian Games. So all of these drops in figures were expected in 2019. From 2018 figure of occupancy rate of 68.46%, our occupancy rate for 2019 went down to 60%. But it was for us an investment because we knew that 2020 would be the year for us to come back roaring. And, we had a lot of new clients waiting in line because of the SEA Games. We had a lot of bookings in the pipeline for different sporting events. Unfortunately, COVID happened. So let me show you the figures. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this would be some figures about Subic. So if you look at the table, we have here the direct impact to SBME. As we all know, as a destination, we really shell out money to promote our stakeholders. The benefit of tourism is not to the LGU, it's not to the agency, but it is for the stakeholders. So if you look at the figures, in terms of cruise ship arrivals, we lost 8 million. This is for the first half of this year because we've had cancellations until June already. We lost 8 million in direct income to SBMA. We've had about 20 canceled events in the Freeport, which amounted to about 2.7 million worth of direct income. This would include very, very big events, such as the annual communication event of the Masons. It's an international event that expected about 10,000 participants. We also had the Handmaids of the Lord, also another international event that expected about 6,000 participants. And we lost those two big events. Plus, of course, the summer season, we lost that. For the tours, we lost about 40 confirmed bookings. That's directly with us. So that's about 10.8 million in terms of lost revenues. But let's look at the right side, which is more important. As I said, the role of an LGU, or for us, the role of our agency is to make sure that our stakeholders earn from all of our events, all of our activities. So let's take a look at the figures. The 8 million lost to SBMA translated to 156 million lost revenues to the cruise ship industry. So this is not just about shopping. This would include also, of course, the theme park visits. This would include your bazaars. We had bazaars during cruise ship arrivals. We had sellers from all over the region, even as far as Bicol. We had sellers from that. So all of them lost a lot. Okay, so in the community, this includes all the taxi drivers who weren't able to service anyone. So if you look at the figure, that's 156 million lost in economic impact. That translates to 13 cruise ship cancellations. Um, Let me just point out that last year we had 18 visits, and the economic impact last year was 178 million. So if you can just imagine, we were expecting economic impact to double this year. So that's what we lost right now. But we hope, once everything is settled, once we can start opening our borders to cruise ships, they will come back. And then for the tour side, so these are the canceled tours. This includes figures in the canceled visits to the theme parks. So that's about 40 million. Okay, so of course, it also includes some shopping. So again, I'm saying this, these are estimated figures. And in terms of hotels, this is actually a report from about half of our hotels. They've lost 78 million in terms of confirmed bookings and events. So a conservative figure of 274 million pesos lost in economic impact for the Freeport stakeholders. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so of course we've shifted now. What have we been doing in Subic? Of course, the immediate thing to do would be to address the immediate concern, which is um, all about being prepared medically. So we have a hospital inside the Freeport, but we have converted facilities into isolation facilities. A former hotel was we were allowed to operate it and to convert it into an isolation facility. It has more than 71 rooms, and 45 of these rooms will be allowed to be used by patients in the future. And then the Subic Gym, one of the facilities that was improved for the Sea Games, and the national government invested almost 100 million in this facility for the Sea Games. As you can see, we have converted it as an isolation facility, and it can accommodate about 32 patients. But I'm happy to say that as of today, Subic Bay is COVID free, and there's still no need to use any of these facilities. But we are ready in any event. So we also have, the Philippine Red Cross has a center here in Subic Bay Freeport. So we're partnering with them. We have swabbing facilities located near the gates. We also have testing facilities, so they can do a maximum of 2,000 tests in a day. So in that aspect, Subic Bay Freeport is very much ready first in addressing the immediate concern, which is addressing this COVID pandemic. Next slide. But of course, how do we move forward? It's been mentioned in the previous discussion by our DRT head from the Cordillera region. It's been already mentioned in different webinars. We are the most hard hit, but I think moving forward, as a destination, I'm proud to say that here in Subic, there is a reason why we are COVID free. It is because the people are disciplined. We work well together. We work well with the private sector. When we say nobody is going to be out there, no one is out during curfew, then nobody is out. So everybody here, or most everybody, really follow the rules and guidelines. And even before the declaration of ECQ in Luzon, the Freeport was one of the in the forefront in establishing border controls. And I think this is one of the reasons why until now we are COVID free. The different measures, I think, are one of the main points that would be included in all our marketing strategies. The first point is to promote our destination or any destination as being COVID free, as being ready to address the safety concerns of people, to make sure that there is confidence in your destination, that you can make your visitors, your guests feel safe. Okay, so also, another factor, as well as the same with Pampanga, with Baguio, and Cordillera, we are very near to everyone. We are very easily reachable by car. So I think that would be a big advantage as we focus on domestic tourism. Once everything is settled down, we hope that we will be one of the first to benefit. That's why the direction of marketing in the Freeport right now is to make sure that all the marketing materials would show that it's not really just about leisure, but making sure that people are safe and they feel safe when they visit Subic or any other destination. So that is our focus for now. We also try to minimize um, our interaction with people by making sure that our processes are now shifting to online applications and processing of permits and all other aspects of tourism. And as I always tell other people when they ask us, I think my personal opinion is when people start to travel, of course, they won't travel that far yet. So they will go to the more accessible destinations and they will go to a destination that would make them feel much better. And nothing makes you feel much better and safer and more appreciative of life than nature. And we have a bounty of that here in Subic. So right now, we are also working with the stakeholders. We have suspended the collection of our tourism fees in the Freeport. Our leisure department and the agency is working on a measure to help the stakeholders tide over. They really consider the current status of the leisure industry in the Freeport, and they're focusing on that, and they're not blinded to making sure that they give the longest leeway to the stakeholders, and we hope to come up with all of these specific measures in the future. Also, we really rely on the Department of Tourism, and we are very much thankful to them because the support that they give us and the pacing and the preparations that they're undergoing now for shifting to the new normal is there. They have already crafted guidelines, safety and health guidelines for the accommodation sector, for your travel and tour sector, for the restaurants. Right now, as a destination with a lot of theme parks and attractions, we are waiting for guidelines, draft guidelines for that particular sector because we know just it's all a matter of adjusting. It's a matter of being creative. We have to uh, forget the old ways and try to come up with something new. If you work well together with the national agencies and with the public sector and the private sector, there will be a lot that you can do together. So, as a last note before I go and end my presentation, um, I just want to show you that last part when I said that, Subic has a lot to offer and making sure that, you somehow try to forget or, just for a moment, try to forget the pandemic and refocus with nature and refocus with yourselves through nature. So let me show you our very short clip about the beautiful sights and places here in Subic Bay.
More fantastic and Subic today, tomorrow, or any day. It's more fantastic and Subic so get going and be on your way. Hang out, have a blast, chill out to the max. Any weekend or day, it's more fantastic and Subic Bay.
My Subic Bay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jem. Seeing that video, it really makes my cabin fever all the more evident. So we would like to be out and out already.
Yeah,
And rest assured, I think Subic will be one of the destinations that people will start going to as soon as we are allowed to do so.
we
Okay,
hope
so
so.
we'll
We
get
hope
back
so.
to you. Yeah, we'll get back to you in a while. Thanks, Jam.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Now we would like to ask Miss Cristina Garcia, the president of ATA Pampanga, to give us her viewpoints and her presentation on how the travel agencies and the tour operators are doing in that part of the country. So, Christina, please.
Hi, good afternoon, my co-panelists, Ms. Jovita Ganongan, Ms. Jem Kamba, and our moderator, Mr. Jojo Clemente, and the whole tourism industry. Good afternoon, and thank you, Tourism Congress of the Philippines, for inviting us to be a part of this webinar. While my co-panelists discuss about the tourist destinations that has to be seen, we, the Association of the Alliance of Travel and Tour Agencies of Pampanga, will be here to support you sell those destinations. But before that, allow me please to say a little background about ATAP. The association was established in 1996 on a directive from the Department of Tourism under then Secretary Ms. Mina Gabor. The travel agents and tour operators in Pampanga, together with then DOT Regional Director Ronaldo Chutuico, organized themselves in order to foster unity in the travel industry and to promote the welfare of the agents and the traveling public. It was first called the Association of Travel Agencies of Pampanga, or ATAP, ATAP, wherein Mrs. Carmen Mactavish was the first president. The association was then registered in Securities and Exchange Commission as an organization and officially named it the Alliance of Travel and Tour Agencies of Pampanga, now known as ATAP, ATTAP. ATAP is composed of about 50 active members from travel and tourism industry and is committed to provide business opportunities and continuing professional education to its members and to the travel industry about travel and tours, vacation packages, and tour operation in an environment where members and other affiliates can foster a relationship to one another. The association has been a very active partner of the government and other stakeholders, and its success is a testimony to the private-public partnership that is seen in the tourism industry, especially in the Pampanga province. Most of the projects initiated by the association had the full support of major stakeholders, especially the Department of Tourism. Full support is given by the airlines, hotels, and restaurants and transportation businesses, among many others, which is why the association continued to grow. The tourism industry in Pampanga continues to propel itself to massive economic growth for more than 2 decades. Actually, it's our 24th year already this year. We'll be celebrating our 25th year next year. That more than 2 decades of endeavoring to find its place in the development of the province to the present period, where it now occupies one of the top spots in generating investments and employment for the Kapampangans. ATAP has proven itself in the past 24 years that its partnership with the Department of Tourism has enabled it to successfully undertake tourism development programs not only for Angeles City, where majority of our members operate, but for the entire province and its neighboring provinces, thereby contributing to economic development through tourism investments and employments. Next slide, please. Yes, we the travel agents, I know Sir Jojo can relate to us with this, have issues and challenges that are facing right now with the situation that we are going through. We have been hit with different global issues and challenges in the past, and there are some recorded pandemics and global problems that also affect the travel industry and manage to recover in the end. Some of which are the following problems that we encounter. First, we have the 9/11 terrorist attack in 2001, the SARS in the 2003, financial crisis or the recession in 2008. We also have the H1N1 pandemic or the influenza virus in 2009. We also have the MERS-CoV, which was identified in Saudi Arabia in 2012. We also have Ebola virus in 2013. And now, at present, we have this COVID-19, which started last December 2019 to date. This is the pandemic that stunned the whole world with the most destructive effect in the whole economy of every country in the world. And we in the travel industry was the very first one who was affected and most likely will be the last to recover. Some of the issues and challenges that we have to overcome and find ways or think of recovery plans in order for us to bounce back are the following. We have the issue of business continuity because of this pandemic that we are experiencing right now. The question here is that how can we continue the business if the traveling public are our business. We might also be facing a global recession because of the losses of the companies. Another question is that to whom are we going to offer our packages if no one or if the people are afraid to travel? Plus the fact that most of the people will be unemployed due to these trying times. Having asked these questions, it will be difficult for us to continue the business, and that is one of the big challenges that we are facing now. Another issue is the operational challenges. The issue of financial compensation and capability of every company, up to what extent does the company has the cash flow to deal with the situation, especially the small and medium-sized enterprises. Expenses are piling up like office rents, utility bills, mandatory government payables like taxes, SSS, pag-ibig, PhilHealth, etc. These are part of the business operation to deal with. We also have the travel restrictions. As a result of every government's travel restrictions like visa restrictions, arrival guidelines upon entry on every border, and the like, that every country is implementing as part of the precautionary measures to protect their citizens. And because of this, global tourism has locked down, which give us the difficulty to sell tourist destinations for the traveling public. Another challenge that we are facing is the assurance of safety and security of travelers. No one would be willing to travel if they cannot be assured of their safety. That is why most of the people canceled or set aside their plans to travel for now. Hopefully, when the things go back to the new normal that we are all expecting, they can go ahead with their plans to travel. We also have to be well informed of the do's and don'ts of the protocols in every destination for the safety of the travelers. And now, how do we cope up with the new normal? Actually, the new normal is not even normal at all. It is applicable in every country, or in one place may not be applicable. It's like it's applicable to this country, but it's not applicable to the other. So we have to be flexible, understanding, and be obedient to whatever it is that has to be followed. So we just have to, I think, respect one another for that matter. Next slide, please. What are the action plans in the new normal for Pampanga tourism? First, because of this situation, we have to constant monitor and assess the update of health and travel situation. We must always be aware and be vigilant of what is happening. We should be updated of the health advisories and travel updates at all times. We also need continuous training and awareness raising. It's a non-stop learning while on break in preparation for the reopening of the business. We also need periodic communication with different agencies, including the health sector, travel and tourism sector, etc. And be ready for what to offer, where to go, what to do when they allow the travel industry to open. Let us also take this opportunity to upskill our employees, to retrain and reskill existing employees who are deeply committed and understand the company, so that they will be able to offer more value to the company when the industry recovers. We have to remain competitive and make use of customer loyalty. So we should still work on attractive and enticing travel deals in anticipation of the travel industry rebound. And we also need to work hand in hand with LGUs, especially the Department of Tourism and major stakeholders like the aviation sector, hotels, tours, tour attractions, destination, and among others. We need to continue the support in the travel industry and come up with sustainable recovery plan and standard protocols to bring back the confidence of the travelers to travel and for the industry to recover. And now, what is the new normal in Pampanga tourism? we have been talking about different stakeholders and other tourism industry partners for this pandemic. This pandemic has significant impact in changing the travelers' behavior, and because of this, we need to adapt to new normal activities like disinfecting tourist facilities, maintaining physical distancing, the use of personal protective equipment to the extent of checking the temperature of the guest. Travel will never be the same. It will not resume to its normal activity unless and until a vaccine will be discovered for the COVID-19. But then again, even with the vaccine, according to WHO, the COVID-19 virus will be in this world. It will stay with us forever. It will be part of our system. So we should always take all the precautionary measures to be safe with this virus. Most of our partners in the tourism industry, like some of the airlines, hotel attractions, hotels, sorry, and attractions, and even Lipad, who is now in charge of Clark Airport, has been reaching to us to update us with the new normal and the protocols to be implemented. We are all dependent on the IATF regulation for now, and we are just waiting for them to allow us to go back to the new normal life when it comes to tourism activities. Thank you also to our Department of Tourism Region 3 Regional Director, Ms. Carolina Oy, for supporting us and for keeping us relevant in one way or the other, for keeping us updated with the tourism industry situation. And I would like to end this by saying, stay home for now and let us prepare to see beautiful places in the future. And all the members of ATAP will be here to take care of your travel needs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. Very interesting presentation and viewpoints presented there. So if we can bring back our speakers this afternoon. So here we go. Um, Very interesting presentations all in all. Um, Let me start with a few questions first. No, let me start with a question that maybe all of you can answer. Um, in your areas right now, what new attractions or experiences are you working on to welcome back tourists? Jovi, you mentioned a little bit earlier that there were some plans, but um, here's the opportunity maybe to give us one or two things that you're working on as far as
Yes.
the car is concerned.
Yes, thank you. Definitely, we are now trying to redesign the packages that will have to be offered after this pandemic, no? And there's nothing much really to change because, as we can see in the Cordillera, the experience really is wellness tourism, no? We have forest bathing, for instance, in Camp Jane, and forest bathing is something that can be experienced all around the Cordilleras because we have beautiful mountains, we have beautiful views. You can do uh, nature, uh, nature walks, no? And I think this is something that will have to be offered to domestic tourists who would want to, recover from those traumas after the lockdown, no? So maybe what we need to do now is to uh, have to emphasize really more of the recovering or the therapeutic value of all of these offers that we will have to offer again. And I mentioned also about farm tourism, no? In the past we have been emphasizing two factors in farm tourism, and more on the fun part. And secondarily, of course, it's also very important the educational part. But after the lockdown, people really have realized the need to know how to grow your food, uh, know how to really plant vegetables, no? For all you know, if this thing will happen again, we would be running out of all of this produce that are outside of the locality, and the only way to survive is to really have your own food. And so, as I've mentioned, farm tourism would really be strong. People would be interested to go to the farm and really study and hands-on do planting. Of course, in a fun way. We still have to still carry that brand of fun. So all of this together, wellness tourism and farm tourism, would something be redesigned and still offered to our domestic tourists once everything is okay. No, and also of course incorporating siguro healthy food. No, it's important for us to really boost uh, our uh, our health. No, is very important at this time. So all those nutritious food should be introduced in farm tourism as well. So there's so many. Where everything that we have in Cordillera is something that the locals or the tourists would be really wanting to experience, like looking at the sunshine, the sunset, which we have, the chirping birds. All of these are therapeutic in a way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sir Jojo.
Thank you very much, Jovi. Well, proceeding from what you talked about, actually, your region stands to be one of the more, maybe one will be one of the more desirable because number one, people will definitely be looking for therapeutic places to visit, and based on the trends that we are now receiving from our international markets, is that they will be looking for places where they can have more experiential activities. And based on what you mentioned, this is something that definitely they can in the car once they go. Uh, Jem, how about in SBMA? What new attractions and experiences can we expect once everyone's allowed to go?
Yeah, well, as I said, Subic Bay has different types of visitors. We have people going to us for their events. So obviously, we cannot accommodate them as of this time. It will take time for us to accept the activities and events, especially we're used to hosting very, very big events. We have a big convention center, so that would be set aside. So we focus on visitors. There's a lot of theme parks to offer in Subic Bay. We have, of course, Ocean Adventure. It's one of the top theme parks in the country. So I think when it comes to recreational facilities such as Ocean Adventure or our different beaches, theme parks, it's all about controlling the capacity, the carrying capacity. So we will take our cue from the national government. If they say that capacity should be reduced to about 25% of the normal capacity, then we will comply. The good thing is because we have a lot of different theme parks, then we can definitely control um, people coming in. So you can, let's say, go to Ocean Adventure or go to Zubik Safari for the other families. Others can go to Holy Land. We also have a religious theme park inside the resort for those who weren't able to, really experience Holy Week because we had to do ECQ, or they want to reconnect with God, or spiritual reconnection, or go on a retreat. They can go to Holy Land. We also have another aviary. We have a Bird Park and the Fantastic Subic Bay, a fantastic park. So there are a lot of attractions that they can go to. So that's already spreading people. We also have bird watching here. So for the
Yeah.
watchers, this is a big business in Europe. Again, I think it's all a perception also when you see that a place is very much airy and open and very big. Somehow it helps reassure you that you're not in a cramped place, so the chances maybe of getting the virus, I think it's one of the factors for that. Also, we have new theme parks coming in this year. Supposedly, we will have a new ecotourism park, and we also have a lot of new hotels, five-star attraction. So I think all in all, you can go to Subic either to just connect with nature, just relax, stay in your hotels. We have 56 beautiful hotels. Or you can go to the theme parks, go to the different attractions. Once these facilities are already open, and in the meantime, it's all about making the business survive. So SBMA, that would be the role of SBMA in the meantime when it comes to the business side of it. So there.
Okay, very good. Um, Actually, one thing that we can say about at least Baguio and Subic is that we've been mentioned before that once domestic travel starts, people will probably prefer going to drivable places, and definitely your areas definitely fall into that category. So I think you can expect a lot of people to start going. But then, as we were talking about prior to the show, was that it will also be interesting to see how carrying capacity and how access will be enforced once people begin to travel again. Um, I'll go to Christina right now. We have a question
Right.
actually, and the question comes from Mr. Jerome de la
Yes,
Fuente
I
from
can.
all the way. Yes. Yes, yes, please. Did you wanted to say something, Christina?
Yes, if I may just if I may just share here in Pampanga, we also have recreational theme parks also to visit. We have here in Clark and nearby places also. But aside from that, we being the culinary capital of the Philippines, maybe we can push through with the food tourism, which is most especially the most essential right now in this situation. So most probably we can push through with that.
Yeah, people are looking forward to eating their favorites again, and we know that Pampanga is really one of the centers of culinary excellence in the country. So,
Yes,
yes,
yes.
sorry, you will also be expecting a lot of people to go there for not only for the sisig but for the other delicacies of Pampanga.
Right.
Yeah. Um, okay, another question is that how do you reinvent yourself in this time of COVID-19? What uh, if I can ask you one thing that you would reinvent or something that you have learned to reinvent during this time, what would it be?
Yeah, yeah. For us in the Cordillera region, I think it's really high time for us to adapt to the needs of the times. No, like connectivity for now is very important, and more than anything else, we will also have to capacitate ourselves as employees of government and also our stakeholders so that we can be able to to effectively implement our programs, innovate by using technology. And at this point in time, we are already embracing it because it has proven actually more efficient. Uh, but more investment has to really come in to capacitate everyone. No, so that's another. But also in the manner of it was already mentioned in the manner of controlling visitors because uh, in the past. There are also tourism sites in the Cordillera that are problematic in a way when we talk of carrying capacity. And I've mentioned that this is the time to really determine the limits of all of these places. So it's not in Sagada, for instance, there are already carrying capacity limits, but it's now it has to be adjusted because it has to be anchored already on the physical distancing regulation. So there would be less people that should be accommodated in one areas. So embracing the opportunity now because before there was no time, but people were you know uh, getting more and more people without even thinking or about we're focused on the economics, but this time we have to focus more on quality. So I think for that it is a positive thing that has happened because of COVID.
Okay. Well, that's nice quality. Yeah. Jem, if there's one thing that you have learned, what can you reinvent about SPMA?
First, what do we keep? Subic Bay is known as a safe place, known as having a contained environment, and this has been a big plus for us when it comes to hosting very big events and activities. So because of that, because of what we started years ago, that is what we're trying to do now when it comes to enforcing proper protocols so that everybody in the Freeport stays COVID free and everybody who visits us will feel safe. Now, in the past years, um, very similar to what Ms. Jovi mentioned, we have been trying to study the carrying capacity of Subic Bay because I think this is the time to focus on sustainable tourism. We have to show that, it's not just about just having the numbers growing. Kumbaga, hanggang kailan, diba, natataas ang numbers. So, there should be a limit to that. We have to learn to strike a balance with nature and everything, balancing economics with making sure that everything is sustainable. So that is something that everybody is forced to look into right now. We started exploring the carrying capacity of the whole Freeport. That's why this year we have started controlling events. We even for the roadside events, we have started controlling these events. Only one per month is allowed. So that's what we've been starting. This is something that will continue. We have to focus on making sure that everything is sustainable. So it's not just always about economics. So that is
Okay.
something that was given more emphasis. And of
Okay.
course, the marketing side, changing your strategy. If before we know that we're established destinations and now we have to make sure that we are still part of the top of mind destination. So it's about pushing again for promoting, but a different side, not just about the attractions, but the safety and wellness side.
Okay. Good. So we have quality and then sustainability. Very good ideas. No? Christina, how do you see yourself reinventing? How does the association see itself reinventing?
Yes. I think in our part, being in the travel industry, being in the association, being the travel agent, we have to focus on the safety of our travelers, safety of our clients. We have to make them confident that it's okay. It's okay for them to travel. It's okay to spend their money, uh, their hard-earned money to travel and do the leisures that they've been wanting all their life. But then again, as I said a while ago, no one will be traveling if they'll be risking their lives. So it's basically safety first of all the traveling public of our clients, and making sure that the destinations that they're going through will not endanger them.
Okay. Very good. Okay. One final question for all of you. Um, let's start with Christina first. You know? What is one of the positive takeaways? Let's look at the positive. We all know we're all going through difficulties right now, but I'm sure in the midst of all of what we're going through, there must be some positive takeaways. And if I may ask you, Christina, first, what is your positive takeaway from this time of COVID?
My positive takeaway on this time of pandemic is that let us start thinking about we, not just me, but we.
Oh, ganda no, na. I like that. I like that. Okay, Jem, your positive takeaway?
Uh, Yeah, actually, I think everybody in the tourism industry can relate. Ever since we have always been one of the busiest sectors, we didn't have time for our families before. It's all about work, 24/7. We are on call. And personally, that is the most important takeaway for me now. Precious time that you can spend with family. There's still a lot of work, but still now you can spend it with your family because you're at I think this is a blessing for everybody in the tourism sector because we're always busy. We're not there
Yeah,
during weekends, So I think everybody can relate to that.
I agree. I think we spend more time in the office than with our families now. Ms. Jovi, what is your positive takeaway from
Yeah.
all of this?
Yeah, if there is something that I have really seen that's really positive about all of this is that it has really given the opportunity for our environment to rest, for the destinations to rest, for people to yeah, stay home and again build relationships with the family members and like reflect on the things that have been going on in the past, and perhaps it would be an opportunity now to improve on the future. So there is a lesson to all of this in the city of Baguio now, and I'm sure in all the other destinations. The air is so good. It's good, perfect. Actually, I have seen Burnham Park. I have been to Burnham Park during the lockdown, and you can actually see and hear the birds chirping. You can smell the beautiful flowers, and there are no gardeners even there, and the flowers are blooming naturally. No, and the trees are verdant. So all of this are also an opener to all of us. Our environment, our tourism sites, all of us need to relax for a while and let us all regenerate as a species of this world. Thank you, Sergio.
Thank you very much, Jovi. Yes, I would love to see Baguio again. It's one of my favorite places in the Philippines. I spent a lot of time there as a kid, and I would like to go back again and
Yeah, for now you
remember
have
the
to dream.
enjoyment.
You dream
I know, I
and
have
then
to
travel
dream.
later.
Yeah, entrance is still restricted to Baguio for all of those who are planning. Yung mga gustong mauna, sorry, sarado pa ang Baguio.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we've gone a little bit over our time, and we have questions for our panelists. If you check back onto the FB page of Tourism Congress, there are some questions there from our viewers that you may want to answer personally.
Okay.
Once you go through them, please feel free to do so. Um, that being the case, before anything else, I would like to thank all of you for being part of this afternoon's webinar. And we do hope to do a second round in a few weeks to see where we are. And hopefully you can accept our invitation again. So at this point, I'd like to give each one of you the opportunity to say something to our audience before we go. So let's start off with Jovi, please.
Yeah, yes. Well, as mentioned, the tourism industry has been the most devastated in this situation. But well, let's remain very positive. While tourism has been temporarily halted, let's take, as I've mentioned, this is now an opportunity for us to reflect, rethink, re-strategize, improve our products and services. No, I mentioned about improving our offers, no, and make tourism more responsible, more fun in the future. So we look forward to the dawning of a new day and better tourism moving forward. So this thing will pass.
Thank you very much, Jovi. Jem, last words to our viewers.
Yeah, basically, Miss Jovi said it all. I agree. We have taken a reset in our lives, personal and professional lives. So it's all about perspective. The tourism industry is always known to be full of positive people. So let's spread that positivity. Let's use it to be more creative and um, be creative in thinking of ways to make tourism sustainable. So this is a wake up call for all of us. So let's uh, let's do that reset and start of better ways of improving our facilities, our destinations, and striking that balance between economies and quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jem. Christina, the final word.
Yes, thank you very much, Sir Jojo and the Tourism Congress of the Philippines. Thank you very much for giving our association ATAP the chance to be a part of this webinar. Ma'am Jovi and Miss Jam, we have
Nice
TPLEX
meeting
and
you.
STTEX to go to Baguio and Subic.
Thank
Soon.
Kapit-bahay lang tayo. To all our, yeah, soon. To all our travel industry partners, especially the Department of Tourism, our colleagues, the travel industry stakeholders, ATAP members, we are in the most trying time right now, but let us not lose hope. Tourism industry is not dead because of this pandemic. We might be the least priority right now, but let us take this break as an opportunity to prepare uh, for more beautiful places for the travelers to see. It will take us time to recover, but we will recover. Let us just be patient. There is always a rainbow after the rain, and we will surely bounce back big time. Keep safe and
Yeah,
be healthy, everyone.
big time. I like that. Very inspiring and very wise words from our trio of ladies this afternoon. It's been a pleasure. Finally, I have three ladies with me in a panel and no guys. So,
It's a pleasure.
to all
Thank you for
our,
having us.
Thank
it's our
you.
pleasure. It's our pleasure. So, to all our
Congratulations.
viewers, thank you very much. To all our viewers, we would like to thank you for joining us this afternoon, for spending your afternoon with us. We have another one this coming Friday. I think we're featuring Palawan, and we will be announcing the details for that as soon as we can. So thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day. Keep safe, keep well, and we will see you soon. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
God
See you
bless. Keep
later.
safe.
Be
Goodbye.
safe. Stay safe.
Until